You could be forgiven for thinking that Donald Trump is already facing all of the indictments, like all of them that could come. But it turns out that Jack Smith was able to find a few that he wasn't currently facing. And they don't just involve Donald Trump in the classified documents case. And they don't just involve his loyal lackey, Walt Nauta. There's another player that's now been added to this story. So we're gonna give you all the details. It's not looking good. It involves not only more documents that have been stolen, but also an effort to destroy evidence to obstruct the investigation into that theft. We're talking here about a superseding indictment, basically adding additional information to the previous indictment that had already come out in this case. It adds 3 charges: attempting to alter, destroy, mutilate, or conceal evidence, inducing someone else to do so, as well as an additional document. And it is believed that that document is the Iran war plans that were talked about in that incredibly damning audio tape. So we're gonna set that aside for a moment and talk about the effort to destroy evidence and to induce others to do so. And that involves, again, not just the 2 characters that have already been really wrapped up in this story, but also now the property manager of Mar-A-Lago, Carlos de Oliveira. The revised indictment said that late June of 2022, shortly after the government demanded surveillance footage as part of its investigation into Mar-A-Lago, Trump called de Oliveira and they spoke for 24 minutes. At that point, he and Walt Nauta, one of Trump's aides who's already facing many indictments himself, went to a Mar-A-Lago storage room and pointed out the security cameras inside. So they looked at where security footage was stored. They looked at where documents were stored, the tunnel between them, and the cameras that were logging this entire area. A few days after that, de Oliveira spoke with Yuscil Taveras, the IT expert at Mar-A-Lago, took him to an audio closet, and there the 2 men had a conversation that was meant to, quote, remain between the 2 of them. Clearly it did not. But anyway, de Oliveira told Taveras that the boss wanted the server deleted, referring to a computer server holding security footage. Taveras objected and said he didn't know how to delete the server and didn't think he had the right to do so. At that point, de Oliveira insisted again that the boss wanted the server deleted, asking, "What are we gonna do?" I'll add a little bit of that accent, but that's the whole vibe of this story. In any event, the FBI continued their investigation. They clearly have some sort of source. We're gonna get to more of this, but we already know that this is like lackeys of Donald Trump being ordered to try to clean up the mess they'd already made by moving documents out of the area. It is super damning at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, so look, on cable news, they're calling it shocking. We'll get to that in a minute. It's the least shocking thing I've ever heard. It's one of 1,000 crimes that Donald Trump commits on the regular. And him trying to cover up his crimes by deleting evidence in a brazen way is got Trump 101 written all over it. Because most people who are criminals wouldn't do that in the ham-handed way that this was done, because they're better at covering their tracks. But Trump, he's like, I don't know. The government says they got evidence against me on the tapes, and I know that's true. So why don't we just delete them? Because they gave you an indictment. I mean, they gave you a notice not to, and then that would break the law. And he's like, oh, it's Tuesday. Why wouldn't we break the law? So that's not surprising, but it is relevant because this one is super easy to prove, and that's gonna get to dominoes, and dominoes is the most important thing here. So let me explain the dominoes. So Yuscil Taveras, as John explained, is the IT guy. He's the one they went to and said, all right, why don't you just delete the server? Let's pause here to take note that the Republicans chanted, lock her up, all the way back in 2015, 2016. Why? Because Hillary Clinton deleted things from servers. Oops. Okay, we'll come back to that. So Taveras goes, no, I'm not going to delete it. Number one, I actually don't even know how to. Number two, it appears the federal government told us not to, okay? So now Taveras, it appears is like this is unclear to the degree to which he is working with prosecutors. Okay, but I think he's working with prosecutors. I think that's why they charge Oliveira, right? So now they gives us to Oliveira. Well, Oliveira is in a world of trouble because Taveras is turning evidence against him, and Oliveira told him to delete evidence that the government told them to maintain. That's a serious crime. And Oliveira ain't Trump. There's no MAGA that's gonna rally around him. Everyone around Trump gets fed to the wolves, and Trump doesn't care, MAGA doesn't care, nobody cares. So Oliveira right now is facing a significant jail time. So if he flips, he could flip on Walt Nauta. Nauta is the main assistant to Donald Trump and his main goon that helped him to try to do all these crimes. Well, if Oliveira flips on Nauta, well then Nauta's looking at a lot of time in prison. And again, Trump ain't gonna help him. MAGA's not gonna help him. He's a rando, he's on his own. Now Trump's paying for their lawyers, but the minute they think they're gonna go to jail for about 5, 10, 20 years, whatever the number is, and you'll be able to tell. The minute any of these guys get a new lawyer, oh, that's it, they're turning, okay? And so then if, I don't know that Nauta will turn, because he
seems pretty loyal.
Yeah, he's super close to Trump, right? But if Nauta turns, no, that's when Jack Smith goes, dominoes, mother effers. So now look, there's plenty of ifs built into that. We're not cable news. We're not gonna be like, oh my God, we got him. He's about to go to prison, right? I don't know that he ever goes to prison, but did he do it? Most definitely did it. And is he in trouble if this case goes all the way through? Yeah. I mean, there is a jury. They are going to get the evidence. If you got this kind of evidence against anyone else, they're goners. There might be a MAGA guy or two on the jury and then he skates, who knows? There's 1,000 different ways that he can get off. But right now the evidence is overwhelming. This just piled up another giant layer to it. And most importantly, it sets up the dominoes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And shouldn't we have a breaking news banner up for like the next 6 days or something like the cables do? The only thing I will say is Jack Smith is getting so much praise and he's so great, and maybe he is. But this is, what was alleged here is so dumb. It is a skit that Larry, Moe, and Curly would reject. It's just, it lacks all sophistication that these fools would actually think they could get away with this. It's stunning to me. I think the IT guy ran into a kitchen cupboard and called Jack Smith on a hotline minutes after he was approached, okay? And this thing will blow up, and it appears to me at least that as long as Trump stays in the race, okay, they're going to continue to add charges and pursue him like a grocery list. It's like Jack Smith went into, whatever your grocery store of choice is and said, oh, I got these items. And then his wife called and said, you forgot something. And so we'll keep seeing more and more and more of this, but it is fun to watch Trump squirm and come up with more lies each time Jack Smith reveals something else in a filing that kind of boxes him in. It's fun. It's just fun to watch.
I'm gonna throw out a few more fun details and give both of you a chance, just if you have any thoughts about these. So one, in addition to the charges we've already talked about, De Oliveira has been specifically charged with lying to federal investigators. He told the FBI he knew nothing about the confidential documents, even though the indictment accuses him of personally witnessing the documents when they're being moved around. So it's not just him being tied to Trump, it's his own personal lies to the FBI as well. As I said, they have now finally charged Trump for the possession of those Iran war plans from the audio tape. We had wondered why that wasn't involved in the indictment earlier. It is now a part of it. And I'm also curious what you think about in terms of, like we've been wondering how much of any of these different cases, and Trump is facing so many, will like break through to people as particularly egregious. He's faced a lot, and we're waiting for like January 6th or Fulton County. The document stuff has always been just a little bit like muddled by the fact that Joe Biden did have some documents. He didn't try to keep them from the FBI or anything, and Mike Pence had some documents. But in this case, nobody else is being accused of sending their goons to destroy tapes. I feel like that's almost like a cinematic thing that people get is bad. It almost feels like Jack Smith, like Trump is so easy to manipulate. He could have no reason to believe there's anything on the tapes and just call Trump up and say, I want the tapes, knowing that Trump will immediately try to destroy the tapes. So is this special in some way? The Republicans really aren't responding to it. They don't seem to have to take it seriously at all.
Yeah, so to John's point, there's gonna be a Keystone Cops set of tapes that come out either soon or in the trial. Because remember, the server was not destroyed. So they have the videos of these goofballs going around Mar-A-Lago, maybe like a Benny Hill thing with all the boxes. They have the videos of them. We have videos of them loading it up onto the plane to take to New Jersey. By the way, MAGA, is Trump also allowed to commit future crimes? Like, I know all past crimes are totally fine. Oh my God, Hunter Biden's laptop. But the government asked for all of the documents. There's an excellent chance Trump still has a whole bunch in New Jersey. Can you agree ahead of time that if he has them in New Jersey after government has asked them to turn them over, that would be illegal? No, you'll never agree to it. No way. But yeah, but Hunter Biden, but Hillary Clinton, but Anthony Weiner, but I don't know. No, Trump can commit any future crimes he likes. MAGA gives a preemptive pardon. But the reality is, when you got people on tape moving boxes and they told the FBI that they were not moving boxes, they're in a world of trouble. So it would be shocking if Oliveira didn't go to jail, unless he turns on Nada and Trump. It would be shocking. There's going to be tape of him carrying boxes. He told the FBI on the record, I never saw the boxes. So I don't know if he gets it, but he's gonna get it soon. So, and then now on the Trump and him being such a fool, like, the government called on me not to delete any evidence. So Nada, Oliveira, I want you to go and delete all the evidence. Now you think like, come on, really, can anyone be that dumb? Definitely, definitely. This is what the #1 mistake people make about Donald Trump. They underestimate how incredibly dumb he is. So look, guys, and what a lifelong criminal he is. I remember the story we covered years ago of a Trump organization executive who had been there a long time, and she explained, look, Donald asks you to commit crimes all the time. Like, so that a simple one was at Trump Tower, they're putting in new elevators and they have to put the buttons in and they have to put Braille on there because for people who are blind, right? And Trump says, it lowers the quality of my building, I don't like it. Okay, and they're like, well, okay, but sad day for us because it's the law, we have to put it in there. He's like, so what? Don't. They're like, that's not a thing, Mr. Trump. Like, they'll just come in and tell us right away because there's no Braille and it's not. And he's like, I don't care, do it. That's who he is. He's an idiot who's just like brazenly breaks the law all the time. And if you're wondering why would he, after the government says do not destroy evidence, he literally picks up the phone to Oliveira and talks to him for 24 minutes about destroying evidence. Why would anybody be that stupid? But wait, hold on. Is he that dumb? Because I think he is, by the way, as you can tell. But to be fair to him, he has done this for about 50 straight years. And no one's ever prosecuted him for a goddamn thing. So there's this irony in this story, built into this story, that MAGA does the whataboutism, like, oh yeah, but Biden wasn't charged in this and that, right? But guys, the great whataboutism irony is that Trump was never charged for all of his crimes in business and in politics because he was considered part of the elites. Not only did he have a lot of money, but he gave a lot of money to politicians. They were never gonna charge him. So he thought he was above the law. And he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've asked people to delete evidence my whole life, and all of a sudden it's a crime? And yeah, brother, look, in the past, you got to get out of jail free card like every elite person in the country. And yes, the MAGA's a little bit right about this. All of a sudden, you don't have your get out of jail free card. But by the way, if you're MAGA, you should want to tackle the guy. Stop committing crimes, you moron. We think they're targeting you. If they're targeting you, don't go in there and be like, okay, I'd like to do a robbery now. Here, I'm stealing your money. Oh, is it on tape? Well, stop doing that, because then you're serving yourself up on a silver platter. But now it's too late. He did it all over the place. It's on tape. He's in a world of trouble. Look, again, sorry, clarification. The other guys are in a world of trouble. Trump is still part of the elites. Don't worry, MAGA. Very likely will never go to jail. Yes, this is about politics in a sense. Yes, he definitely did those crimes. Yes, a lot of the elites get away with crimes. And yes, they are doing this now because they can't stand Donald Trump and he committed those crimes. But at the end of the day, he's still one of them, not one of you. So they want him to get out of politics, but they're not gonna send him to jail. He's too rich to go to jail.
I think you're absolutely right. And you're right about something else. 50 years practice and protocol, his is proven. And it worked out pretty great. He even got to sit in the Oval Office for 4 years and do more damage. So it's probably going to work out for him in the future. What's curious to me in a case study that I think has to be undertaken for perhaps the decades to come is why so many, not everyone's a bum, who climbed on the Trump bandwagon over the decades. What is it about his magic that turns these people out and has them sitting there facing a doomed life and perhaps decades in prison? No one has a wife or a sister or mother who calls them up and says, "What are you, nuts? Get away from this guy and turn against him now." He has this hold over people that from the outside looking in and watching him, I don't know that I would want to be in his presence or in one of his elevators with him with no braille for 10 minutes, let alone do his bidding and risk everything. It's stunning to me.
Look, I'll just take a tender guess on that real quick. It's in the past, there was the allure of Donald Trump. He's famous, he's rich, and you want to be part of that. He's the president, he's powerful, all these things. But now there's an extra layer to it because prosecutors let him slide for so long. Michael Cohen turned evidence against him, and then they let him rot in jail, and they never charged Trump. So when people see that, they're like, oh, I guess turning evidence against Trump's a terrible idea because then you go to jail and he doesn't. So that set an awful precedent. And then finally, like years and years and years later, the Manhattan DA is like, oh, right, we put Michael Cohen in jail for the Stormy Daniels thing. Well, now Trump's running for office now again. We didn't think that was gonna happen, so we're gonna let him slide. But okay, here, let's charge him, him. He definitely did it. Michael Cohen went to prison for it. People think that Manhattan charge is BS. That's like the conventional wisdom. Nonsense. He definitely did it. It was definitely a crime. His co-conspirator went to prison for it. It's definitely a serious charge. It's just that, and if you're wondering why a lot of mainstream media poo-poos that charge, because he broke a campaign finance law.
Yeah.
Almost all of their buddies, all of the politicians flirt with breaking those laws. So they're trying to protect them, not Trump.
We have a couple fun little additional elements. I know you were interested in the mainstream media's response to this. Do you want to tee that up?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're always hyperbolic, right? So we showed you just heard us break down what's possible, not possible, and give nuance to it. Let's see how they handle it.
It's just extraordinary. These allegations rival anything that Richard Nixon was accused of. These are 2 additional counts of obstruction of justice, and this indictment reads like a mafia case. This is a scheme to destroy evidence 3 days after a grand jury subpoena lands on Mr. Trump. It's mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling, shocked, like, oh my God, I can't believe he did this. Of course he did this. He's done this his whole life. I do genuinely wonder, like, and by the way, that's just a representative clip. There's like 12 more just like that. Shocking, what new revelations? Morning Joe gets surprised every time. Oh my God, he tried to delete evidence. This is an unbelievable new revelation.
Cenk, they wake up and pound coffee for 4 hours straight. They're very excitable.
It's the least surprising news in the world. And by the way, we already knew it. We already knew that they were on tape, and we already knew that Trump tried to delete it. But no, like Sharon said earlier, breaking news for 6 days in a row.
That's exactly what they do, and it's this group think, this wash, rinse, repeat type of thing where the same media stands up and they say, "Oh, justice," when an insurrectionist takes a flagpole and hits a police officer over the head, and he gets 4 years because the judge feels sorry for them. They're not really thinking things through. They're just, like you said, reacting. And Mika's giving those looks to the side, and Joe is, tapping his feet and dancing around. And then they look at the headlines, and this is what they carry throughout the day. And it's really no wonder why people tune it out more and are watching less. And something like a Trump train wreck is more interesting to them to watch him give a press conference. I don't know what to do about that when they just look at a press release and say, "Yeah, we're good with that." But maybe they are stunned. Yeah. Maybe it is exciting for them.
Yeah. Well, let's have a little bit of fun to close this out. I know Cenk is sure that Donald Trump is an idiot, and he's been caught out by this plot to destroy evidence. But not everyone thinks that this is as bad news for Trump as the mainstream media has been saying. Here's Kerry Lake to make the case.
What are your thoughts on this whole process? The Jack Smith and trying to indict Donald Trump over J6?
Well, every single thing they've thrown at him, he's turned it right back in their face, and he's proven to be right. They're wrong. They're just trying to bring him down, and you can't bring down a giant like Donald J. Trump. And I'll be honest, I think he would welcome that indictment. He would welcome a trial. I think he said it would be the trial of the century. I don't think that when they thought of all of that, and maybe during those meetings with his attorney, the attorneys brought it up and said, "Do you really want this? Because it's going to come right back in your face." They're playing checkers, and President Trump is playing, chess at the highest level. So I don't think they want to pick a fight with him.
I now have a new bucket list item. I just want to see Trump try to play chess.
Yes, that's the same thing I was thinking.
Oh, please, I will bet every cent I have against a buck for playing against him.
I suspect my 10-year-old daughter would rock his world in chess.
Oh my God.
And the idea that, Trump brazenly broke these laws so that he could be charged with all of these crimes, so they could be the trial of the century, where he's the criminal of the century that's being tried, so that he could get up and say something. Well, why doesn't he just do a rally and say something? Like, what do you need the whole trial for? And so, no, this is not some elaborate plot by Trump. And no, likely Trump will not testify. So Carrie Lake's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get him on the stand. Are you great? Yes, please testify. Yeah. You're right, oh my God. He's such a grand master at chess. Put him on the stand. You know what he'd do if he was on the stand? Verbal diarrhea. He'd be like, yeah, of course I destroyed the evidence. You don't have any right. I laser beamed the classified documents so they're not classified anymore. So that's why I could destroy them, even though they're already classified. Did I say that? Did I say it out loud? Did the jury hear it? Yes, you schmuck. Oh, please, Carrie, convince him that he's such a genius, he should go on the stand, because that's the only way he goes to prison.
Sharon thoughts.
And when he doesn't go on the stand, Carrie Lake will be back with her Vaseline lens, and she will tell us that this was also chess. This was also brilliant, because he's too smart for that. And they'll just keep pivoting over and over again.
100%, yeah. Chess, the hell out of here. He's struggling to play Cards Against Humanity. That's what he's playing.
Totally, he's like, I move little knighty to little bishopy 3.
King me.
I dare you. I dare Donald J. Trump play chess against anyone in public. I dare you.
I know that he would probably get off to a slow start with his testimony, but once he starts on like a 40-minute rant about the socks case and about how E. Jean Carroll had a cat named Vagina, then Jack Smith's case is wrecked.
He's so
but
smart.
anyway,
He got this.
We are implying here, and I'll close with this, that he does not have a keen legal mind. But not long before this show went live, he dropped a bombshell on Truth Social, revealing that while sure he might face this classified documents thing, if you've all been waiting for charges on January 6th to happen, they by definition cannot, because as he says, how can deranged Jack Smith bring a case on January 6th, as ridiculous as it is anyway, when I have already won such a case and been fully acquitted in the US Senate? He's saying, did they even do it in the Senate? He like someone mentioned double jeopardy to him and he has no idea what it is. And so he thinks, well, you can only have one case. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think that's how it works.
No, guys, look. If you're a regular person out there, it's not your job to know these legal distinctions. So I'm not addressing this to you guys. I'm addressing it to Donald Trump, who was already president of the United States. The fact that he doesn't know that the impeachment trial is political and has nothing to do with a criminal case against them, that's so deeply embarrassing. Like for the Republicans out there who know anything about anything, aren't you mortified when you see a tweet like that? Or don't you look at it and go, oh my God, he thought that was a criminal trial and he thinks he can't be tried again? Oh, that's humiliating. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Yes, he's that dumb.
My rising 6th grader knows it. I don't know, you might be right that people, we got other things going on. But my rising 6th grader, middle school, they know this, they know a little bit about civics. And it is strange that the guy who waved around the war plans for his friends and supporters doesn't know just the basics of how things work what's real, what's not, and what he could be facing.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.